Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So today I'd like to try and have an adult conversation about piracy. There are several videos that I've done on this channel back in November and December that were incredibly popular on the topic of piracy. Sony steals customers' purchased content, piracy is completely justified, and then this one about Netflix. Piracy is completely justified, Lewis tries Netflix and remembers why. In these instances, there are many people that are taking my opinions and my thoughts based on this particular experience and then applying it to many other unrelated experiences to say that I am saying that you should always pirate and never pay. And on the other end, you have people that are actually saying in these videos, in the timestamps where I say, if you found something valuable, you should pay for it, that means that I am saying that piracy is morally wrong. And this is a very difficult thing to dig into, because the more you dig into it, the more you realize that you will probably not find two people that can agree on what I call the hierarchy of piracy, which I think really does have to be explored, because most discussions of this that I find online really don't dig into the details. And I do believe the devil is in the details, because most people watching this, in my opinion, are going to find themselves somewhere else. So before I even dig into the details of it, I would just like to go over the circumstances in each of these videos. In this video, Lewis tries Netflix and remembers why. I'm talking about a very specific circumstance where I paid for a Netflix subscription and I saw that there was some little upsell where I could pay extra to get content in 4K. I paid extra for the upsell, and after paying extra for the upsell to 4K, we're nowhere in the process of taking my money and having me click does it say, yeah, by the way, and you have to have a computer with this processor and this browser and this monitor and this cable and this graphics card and this everything else, or else it's not going to play, unlike, YouTube, where 4K just works, or pirated MKV file, or it'll work in 4K, or pretty much anything where I have absolutely no problem. With us, you're not going to get that unless it's under these particular circumstances. That the browser that you're checking out with right now, by the way, we have the power to let you know, doesn't meet, but fuck it, we're going to take your money anyway. Sign up for it, and I go to view my content. Looks like shit, and not only is it 720p, but it's also very low resolution. And I went over that in this video. So I paid for 4K content. I can't find out while I'm paying in the browser and the operating system and the hardware I intend to use to watch it that this 4K will not work. But thank you for taking my money anyway. Thank you for not mentioning up front that you're not going to give me the 4K. I get 720p. At that point, I've essentially paid you for the content. The way I see it, I paid you for it. I paid you for 4K. I paid extra for it. You gave me 720p. Since I already paid for it, I am now going to go elsewhere and get at least 1080p. If I can't get 4K, at least 1080p. This is better for me because I now get to watch the content in higher quality. This is better for Netflix because, again, Netflix is now not going to have to provide bandwidth to me. They're not going to have to serve this content to me, which saves them bandwidth. Now, could I get 4K if I connect my television to the internet? Yes, I can. Am I connecting a modern 2024 television to the internet? Absolutely fucking not. Because as I've gone over in these videos, modern television manufacturers they're a little rapey. Whether you're talking about Roku that decided to try and disable people's TVs unless they took a forced arbitration agreement that was shoved down their throats. You literally, if you had the TV connected to the internet, literally couldn't change the source on your remote to a different HDMI source without hitting accept to a bullshit agreement that were not the terms of the sale that you paid for. Or you have this TV. I have an LG G3 OLED. These TVs can go for $3,700, $3,800, one of the top of the line LG TVs. And by default, every single option related to data collection and selling my data is turned on. There is an option in the settings, and I show it in this video, where it literally says, do not sell my data. Do not sell my personal data. And this defaults to no. This is in the menu of this television. If you go in this at any one of the default profiles and you go to privacy and terms, what you'll notice with the smart television is there's an option called do not sell my personal information. And because we live in a dystopian world, this option is not by default checked. It should be the default when you pay over $3,000 for a television that you do not sell my personal information. But even when you pay that much for a television, the default is that they will sell your personal data, which is why you should never connect a television to the internet, particularly when these televisions have microphones built into them that allow you. Not on a cheap TV, because that's the defense everybody uses in the comments. That's how they justify this type of bullshit behavior. What they do is they say, oh, you must be poor. You bought a cheap item, so you deserve to get screwed. That's the bullshit that we do to each other. We tear each other apart rather than focusing on who's actually fucking us. This is a $3,600 television. Like, when you sort price high to low on many websites, this is the TV that shows up at the top. And it defaults to that. There's no way in hell I'm connecting that to the internet. Just no, I'm not doing it. You're literally letting me know that your default intention is to spy on me. Why would I allow that? This thing has a microphone on it. There's no way in hell something with a microphone in my living room running a closed source operating system is going to be there and connect to the end. Just not happening. So I go and I find it elsewhere. Do I feel justified to have done this? Absolutely. I paid you for one thing. You didn't give me what I paid for. You went out of your way to obscure that I would not be receiving what I paid for. So I went somewhere else. No problem with that whatsoever. Now, there are people that have said, well, Louis, you have to understand there's things in business and this, that, and the other. It's honestly the fact that I've become a businessman that this aggravates me more. DRM and annoying kind of stuff like this has been around since the beginning of time. But it's only after becoming a business person and realizing just how easy it is to have honest conversations with my customers, to have my terms of service written in clear English, the degree that even my lowest level employee will go through to inform and re-inform and restate something to a customer if they believe there's something that's even 3% contentious in any of our policies or sales, makes me realize that, like, if I can do it, so can you. If my business usually refunds the deposit if something is not fixable, but in this instance I cannot do that, we're not telling you that once. We're telling you it once, twice, 3 times, phone, email, numerous times so that you know, and asking, are you sure you want to go ahead with it? Anything that's even the slightest bit contentious, we go over time and time and time again. Large letters, large font, repeated, implicit, enthusiastic consent. That is the only way that we do business. If I can do it that way, then so can you. Very aggravating. We go to another example over here, which is Sony steals customer purchase content. Piracy is completely justified. In this case, somebody is using the site, it says purchase, they purchase content, they get the content, they connect, and it works. But unfortunately, again, since the content is on somebody else's server, they can just revoke access to it at any given time. Sony and Discovery get into some sort of licensing or dispute or royalty spat, and as a result of it, the $10 or $15 that I gave you is now flushed down the toilet. And it's, and again, in the... your average person still believes that purchase means purchase. So when your product page says purchase, and when you call it a purchase on your own page, which you look over here, previously purchased Discovery content, that tends to mean something in American society. It means that when I purchase something, it means you can't take it away from me. You call it a rental, that's one thing. So they decide to take away this content. And in my opinion, if you paid for the content and they took it away from you, I have absolutely no problem after you've already paid and compensated the content creator for you to go to the high seas and get a copy of that material. Now, you could say, Louis, on page 21 of the end user license agreement, it technically says that you do not own it. You own a temporary revocable. Again, when I ask a woman out on a date, I ask her out on a date. And if anything that I'm interested in doing on that date, any place I think something should go, make sure to look them in the eyes and say, hey, you want to go to SB Steakhouse? Hey, you want to see the sunset at Mansfield Dam Park? Hey, do you want to see what it looks like from, Zilker Clubhouse Park Road or something like that? I don't ask them out and then write something on a napkin or whatever and throw it in their car and then say, well, technically I informed you that I was looking to have sex on the first date and, you didn't say no to this napkin I threw in your car, so I guess it was a yes. This is rapey shit. When you say the word purchase and then you have a 35-page legal document on page 21 saying it's not a purchase, fuck you. Truly, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. No sympathy, no empathy. You know why you did what you did. There's a reason that you don't have that text on the product purchase page. You know why. You know that is because that would result in less sales. That would result in consumers realizing that this cultural shift is happening much faster than before. You wouldn't be slowly turning up the heat on the frog in the pot. You would be quickly turning it up, in which case he would jump out. You know what you're doing. I think it's rapey. I think it's crappy. Don't care. You already paid. These are the instances under which that I have said, yeah, by all means, piracy is completely justified. That being said, I think we do need to look at a hierarchy. I have a 15-level hierarchy here, and feel free to add if you believe that I'm missing something, because this, I think, is really necessary for you to kind of get an idea as to the different places where you may fall, so you can kind of figure out for yourself what is your moral or ethical compass when it comes to piracy. What are you okay with? What are you not okay with? But above all, understanding that this word does not mean one action. Number one, I paid for physical media. The physical media has degraded. I did not back it up, and I cannot replace it. It is no longer available for sale. So I grab a pirated copy. This is at the top of my this is at the top of, essentially, in my opinion, most moral. I paid for it. It's broken, it's gone. I literally cannot pay you again because it is not available for sale from anybody. So I grab a digital copy. Like, content rights owners have been made happy, even if it's their intention that I not be able to, have that again. If my original CD gets scratched, you literally don't sell it anymore. So fuck it. 2, I paid for physical media. The physical media has degraded. I did not back it up. I can buy the media again. I just don't want to since I already paid for it, so I grab a pirated copy. Again, the reason I'm putting that below is, in the first case, you literally cannot buy a replacement. In the second case, you can buy a replacement. You just don't want to because you paid for it once. Understandable. 3, I paid for digital media. I did not back it up. It's been accidentally erased. I can't buy the media again since it's no longer for sale, so I grab a pirated copy. Again, here, it's not that like the media died because of the way that it was stored. It's you literally broke it in some way, shape, or form, so this is your fault, and as a result of being your fault, even though you already paid for it, and under other circumstances, you may have to pay again, but you decide to grab a pirated copy. I personally don't care at this point, but I could see how that would be lower on the scale. 4, I paid for digital media. I didn't back it up. It has been accidentally erased. I can buy it again as it's still for sale. I just don't want to since I already paid for it once, so I grab a pirated copy. Again, it's one of those things where personally, I just don't care. If I personally was selling access to a piece of information to somebody and they accidentally deleted a file, like, here, fuck it, you already paid. So that, again, your moral compass may differ, but I'm trying to acknowledge the fact that there is a hierarchy here where the top ones are somewhat more moral than the bottom ones. 5, I purchased digital media with a commonly understood definition of purchase in the United States by a layperson, and 99% of all customers at this time is that I own it, now and ever. And it magically doesn't work anymore because in the world we live in now, everything connects to the internet and has the ability to stop working if someone on the other end of that connection says so. I personally have no problem with that. 6, I was using a streaming service advertised to me based on X content being available, but X content was removed from that streaming service. I paid for the service under the idea that what was advertised to me was going to be available to me, and they will not refund my money to use with another streaming service now has exclusive rights to that content. Since I budgeted Y dollars to view this content and paid the asking price of Y dollars to view this content, and I cannot get Y dollars back, I do not wish to spend $9 again in another service for the same content, so I grab a pirated copy. You may see this as immoral. Me, I could understand the technical, legal immorality of it. At the same time, I think that there needs to be some sort of push and pull so that content owners and streaming services do not play musical fucking chairs with what content is on their platform. There needs to be some sort of force that keeps them from doing this, so that or else we're just going to be in a situation where you constantly have to sign up for new streaming services all the time, and you're going to wind up with 20 streaming services so that you could watch 2 or 3 shows, just trying to figure out which one it is that you can use. I do believe that there has to be some sort of punishment or slap on the wrist that occurs, so that in addition to just the people saying, fuck it, I'm just not going to watch your shit anymore. Although admittedly, I would much prefer, and we're going to get to this part later, fuck it, I'm not going to watch your shit anymore. 7, I rented digital media and I'm mad that things are sold as rentals, so I get a pirated copy. Again, less moral than the rest up there. 8, the media I paid for provided me with an upsell to a higher resolution quality content that was not available to me because of restrictive DRM that requires I have a computer with a specific processor model, even though my processor is powerful enough to decode this media 100x. There was no notification on the upsell screen of this, or very tiny fine print at the end of a giant-ass annual license agreement that they realized no one will read. Since I paid full price to both the rights holder and the content owner for 4K content, and they gave me 720p anyway, unless I jump through BS hoops and buy a new computer, I will find a pirated copy. I have no problem with that. 9, I wish to pay for the media, but it is only available with restrictive DRM online that is unacceptable to me, or in a horribly low bitrate in contrast to the physical media. I could buy it without restrictive DRM and rip my own copy, but this means waiting a week for it to arrive in the mail. I buy the physical media so that I have paid for the content, but then find a pirated copy so I do not have to wait for it physically to get here to view it. This is something I have been doing for damn near 20 years. I have Alice in Chains discographies in my house that are literally still sealed that I purchased in 2004 when I found Alice in Chains, amazing band, one of my favorite bands to this day. I did not want to wait a week to get it, but I simultaneously also wanted to have a lossless copy. And it's one of these things where like I could literally, back in 2004, the buying music landscape was garbage. Like we're talking about 128 kilobit per second, low quality encoder, CBR, MP3 with DRM and God knows what else. You have to use Windows in order to freaking use the software, which it was absolutely, like buying music was garbage back in 2003, 2004 online. So I could go through that experience, but get it instantly. Or I could buy it, but then wait a week for it to show up. Or, I could go to the mall, which means I'm going to wait outside in the rain for 45 minutes to get a bus, to travel there and come back. So what I did is I did a hybrid. You got Usenet. You can grab a FLAC copy. The FLAC copy comes with a little exact audio copy log file, so I can literally see 100%, no scratches on the disk, perfect rip, lossless copy, and I have that. But I have also compensated the rights holders by purchasing a copy online that I buy and have delivered. Now, once I have the FLAC copy, that is literally, bit for bit what's on the CD, 100%. If somebody's using EAC with high and secure and all that, it's good. Well, what is the point of me opening that CD? Like, it's nice to have it in case anything happens to my file, but I have the file with no DRM, no bullshit. I have a file that is actually lossless, which again, in 2004, you literally could not buy. If I wanted to spend 4 times what you spend on the CD to download a FLAC copy with no DRM, didn't exist, I have no problem with that. Now, again, you could technically say that that is something that you shouldn't do. To me, morally, I'm okay. Like legally, I don't know. Morally, I paid for the content and I received the content after paying for it. Everybody's been compensated. I'm good. It's not my fault that your entire system for music distribution is trash. It's not my fault that you can't buy SACD or DVD audio content online. Like, I would like to pay for it. You don't make it available. So I buy the disc, but because it is 2024 and I have internet and I do not want to wait a week and a half for it to arrive, after I have purchased that Super Audio CD or DVD audio, I go to a group, I can grab it, I can use a little program to turn it into PCM so I can listen to it on my computer, and I'm happy. 10. I wish to pay for media, but it is only available with restrictive DRM that is online that is unacceptable to me, or in a horribly low bit rate in contrast to physical media that I could buy without restrictive DRM and rip my own copy. But this means waiting a week for it to arrive in the mail. I decide to not buy the physical media, not support the rights holders and content owners that make the investments to make that content possible, and I find a pirated copy. While I sympathize with this, while I sympathize with you giving a middle finger to the people that have put DRM in there, I sympathize with it. I can't do it because for me, again, you do you. For me, I'm more than happy to buy the shit, download a copy while I'm waiting for it. If it's like, a Super Audio CD or something that I don't feel like waiting for, but I also don't want to pay online for some shit lossy copy. I want to, like, again, if it's something that I really enjoy, if this is like, I don't know, like Tori Amos is Under the Pink or something, like this is an album that's life-changing, or, Little Earthquakes. I want the people involved, and I want there to be some sort of incentive to continue doing this shit. So yeah, I'll happily buy the album, but I'm not going to deal with the dichotomy of I either buy a lossy copy with DRM, or I get or I have to wait a week buying it online. I'm not going to use that as a justification and not pay everybody involved. Like, for me, that just seems kind of shitty. Again, you do you, but I do me. I pay. I want the content creators. I want them to, be compensated if this is something I like. Sometimes I may sample. I may listen. And again, back in like 2004 or 2002, you didn't have like YouTube Music and all this other shit where you could listen to the entire album for free before you buy it. Your way of sampling an album to figure out if it wasn't garbage or not was waiting 3 days for it to come on the radio and having it on all the time, or just Nutella, SoulSeek, and Usenet. 11. I wish to pay for media, but there is no way for me to do it because the media is region locked and they will not accept my money for the media. So I pirate the media. This typically only occurs with creators so large, you will 99% of the time not find a personal donation page, PayPal button, Patreon, etc. for them at this point. So compensating the content creator at this point without knowing a physical address to mail a check to that is monitored by them is damn near impossible. This actually happens. There are people that wish to pay for a television show or a movie or a book, and they can't because of geographic limitations, as I went over in my last video on Amazon, Kindles, and books. In this case, listen, if the way I see it personally, if they wanted your money, they would have given you a means to pay them. And if they have not, go ahead. Again, I would say if they have a Patreon, a PayPal page, any sort of shit like that, and you can give money that way, do that and then pirate it. I would suggest you do that. But if that's not doable, again, you do you. I'm not really going to yell at you there. 12. I wish to support the content creator directly, but not all of these evil middlemen and evil corporations that want money. I donate to the content creator directly and get a pirated copy. While I appreciate the sentiment of what's going on here, I think this can be somewhat oversimplified in its approach. Again, like the artist is the one who creates the music and the content, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. Again, like the recording engineer, producer, all these other people, and they can have a significant effect on the outcome of the album. And again, this is something that, I'm going to tell you a secret here. I'm going to tell you a big secret. But when it comes to actually creating a finished product, artists are not always the best business people. Like, again, some are great. Some, they need kind of the encouragement and the structure of other people that are actually involved in the process for them to produce something. Again, artists can be great people. I worked at Avatar Studios. I worked at Progressive Music. I got to work at the place that used to be the Power Station. It's now Berkeley Music or whatever. Ugh. I wish I had $20 million 10 years ago. I would have bought that shit. Anyway, from Kirk and Memora, so it didn't wind up as Berkeley. Anyway, the point being, there are a lot of other people in the process, and I've gotten to see the value that they provide. And yeah, there's a lot of people that are just bloodsuckers and pieces of shit. Trust me, I get it. The music industry is filled with bloodsuckers and pieces of shit. The reason I try to avoid going down that rabbit hole is because it's very easy to do that and then just start making an excuse to essentially choose who and what I devalue or value regarding a process I may not know anything about. Like, there are a lot of people that go into anything, whether it is I'm getting a checkup at a doctor's office, whether it is I'm hiring a contractor for my home, whether it is I'm purchasing just some basic kitchen products or whatever. Like, I don't have enough knowledge about these different fields to understand the value that every single person involved in that transaction actually adds to the transaction. And the amount of research I would have to do to figure that out is a research that, let's be real, none of us are doing. And one of the things that we do with our mind is we want to justify something that we already wanted to do, which is not pay for something, by coming up with an excuse. And the thing that I'll always suggest you do is, again, just be honest with yourself. Like, if you want to say, here's the thing, I don't do this, but if you want to say, listen, I don't want to pay for shit. I just want to pirate. I don't want to pay for it. I just don't feel like paying. Fuck them. I can actually respect that more than somebody that goes through all this bullshit. Well, I would pay, but I don't want that middleman. I was like, just suck it. Come on. You be honest with yourself. One of the things that I said about that thing in the dating video that I did a week ago about the relationship coaches, I just wish you would have said, rather than saying this man, like that man made me feel unsafe. That's the thing of safety. It had nothing to do with safety. He didn't pay for your food. You felt like your vanity and your ego had been attacked. And that's not something that you could say out loud because it doesn't sound good. Since you can't say the truth, you wind up saying the bullshit. All I ask of you is own your actions, own yourself. You'll hear on this channel very often when I say, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I'm honestly not great a person. Here's why. I try to be honest with you, which requires I be honest with myself. You can lie to the world, but don't lie to yourself. I would suggest you be honest with them, but you can lie to, just don't lie to yourself. And I think a lot of people that say that shit, like they're using like the boogeyman of big company bad to justify what they already wanted to do. And if that's what you already wanted to do, I'm fine with it. You do you. Again, I do me, you do you. I'm not going to prosecute or persecute you because of it. All I ask is that you're honest with yourself. 13. I say that I wish to support the content creator directly, but not all of those evil middlemen and evil corporations that want money. I say that very little of what you pay goes to the content creator and use that as an excuse to justify never paying anyone involved in the creation of art, software, or media that I love. And I never donate to the content creator directly. I grab a pirated copy. This is important because a lot of the people in the last category, they say, okay, I'll donate to the content creator directly and pirate their shit. Again, like, fuck the studio, fuck the people that invested in the entire process, fuck everybody responsible for this completed album making its way from, like a 17-year-old artist that doesn't know jack shit about how to produce an album and get it distributed to it being a work that is listened to around the world and publicized around the world. Again, whatever, like fuck all those people. But I'll give directly to the artist. That's different from the people that are like, yeah, the music industry is corrupt, man. That not only justifies not paying them, but won't even donate to the artist. That's a worse level of shitty. Like, that's one level of shitty, but this is another level of shitty, and it's important to recognize that there's a distinction between the two. This is somebody who, this is the only point here where we're finding somebody that believes that nobody is owed anything for a transaction or where there's a trade of value. Like, this album entertains me, this person has improved my life, I've learned something from this software helps my business, whatever else it is, and I am not willing to pay anybody a dime for something that's added value to my life. This is where it really starts to get contentious, and this is the type of contemptuous, and this is something that I don't support myself. And it's not something that you'll find me saying I support in any of my videos. 14. I say that restrictive DRM is the reason I pirate, but then go out of my way to continue pirating even when content is offered with no form of DRM in a format of my liking. I continue to pirate without ever donating to the content creator. And again, the reason that I find this one to be close to the bottom, the most contemptuous, is because in this case, in my opinion, again, you're lying to yourself. Like they say, yeah, there's too much restrictive DRM, so I just never pay. So I'm just not buying it. Oh, well, you could actually buy this thing here. They have their own website directly where you could just buy a zip file filled with flags and there's no DRM in them, and they even show you log and everything else. Oh well. That is, again, in my opinion, That's shit. Like, that's cope. And the reason that I detest that is not even necessarily, I'll be honest with you, it's not even the fact that they didn't pay for it. I am not personally offended that Lane Staley's estate is not getting a royalty from your purchase of Jar of Flies. What honestly bothers me are the societal implications of being surrounded by people that lie to themselves. Again, if you're lying to other people, I'm not saying it's right, but at least you have your head unscrewed on straight. You know what you're doing. If once you start lying to yourself and not being able to actually realize what it is you're doing, that's when we're truly fucked. That's when we're just genuinely walking off the cliff into the abyss, and that doesn't make me happy. 15, I don't even pretend to give a crap about the content creator or the process. I just want free shit. I don't believe in ever paying for the value I have ever received from a content creator of any type, and I will use every excuse in the book to justify my freeloading behavior, regardless of what the software, movie, television, gaming, or music landscape looks like with regard to options for online purchasing, digital rights management, etc. What I say here, many people who will say that piracy is completely justified will make this argument without really specifying where they are in this hierarchy. And I do believe it is a hierarchy. 1, 2, and 3 are massively different from 13, 14, and 15, in both their subjective morality as well as their impact on the economy, creators, and society. I want to ask for money when I provide people with value. In exchange, I provide people with value when they have provided value to me. Like, again, I don't believe in restrictive DRM. I don't do this bullshit with border pair where it's like, this video is here. If you want to know how I fixed it? Oh, you got to buy my course. Like, here, I'll show you all this stuff over here. I'll show you, but the one little part and how to actually fix it, you got to buy my course. Like, I don't do that shit. If somebody edits my video, re-uploads it to YouTube, don't give a fuck. I am a person that kind of believes in open and free sharing of information, and I believe that the world kind of Streisand affects you in the worst possible way when you try to do that. Oh, you released information, but you want some people to consume it and not others. I fundamentally believe that if I just put all this stuff out there, I don't try to control you, I don't like content ID you and all this stupid shit, that some way, shape, or form, it's going to come back to me. Do I know exactly how? No, but I feel like it will. I don't believe in having all these bullshit restrictions, but simply because I am an advocate for piracy once you have already been fucked, in these cases where I really do feel like end user license agreement roofing, EULA roofing, which is a term I'm trying to make more popular here, occurred to get these transactions to be the way they were. I'm not for just literally just never paying for anything ever again. Like that's not who I am. And one of the things that I think you really have to do is you have to look through this list and be honest with yourself about the reasons for why you're doing what you're doing. And all I ask, even if you're at the bottom of the list, all I ask, embrace it, be proud of it, own whoever you are and own whatever you're doing. For me, again, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the world. In paying for value in my personal life, when I've been provided value, empowers me to ask for value when I feel like I've provided it to others. So for me, it's a philosophy, and it is part of what allows me to be confident and assertive when I am actually dealing with clients, when I'm doing business deals and everything else. And at the end of the day, it's also part of what I think just makes all of this shit work. Like at the end of the day, if we come up with a framework where somebody can provide millions of people value and they have no way to make any money, they may decide that they're going to stop doing it. When I make these videos and you would see that SUSE Linux 8.1 professional box from like November of 2002 on my desk, that was not a meme. I actually paid $80 for that. I paid $80 for that in 2002 money as a 13-year-old. And the reason that I put that on the desk is not just to be a meme, but to demonstrate the point that this is something that you could literally download for free. I am somebody for whom at that time, $80 probably meant a lot more to me than it did to most of the people watching this video now. And I spent it anyway because this was something that provided me value. It allowed me to rid my computer of Windows XP Service Pack 1. And that meant a lot to me. And I wanted to thank everybody that made that possible. And this is just something that I think is worth going over and thinking about. When you say piracy is right or piracy is wrong, where are you on this hierarchy? Which are the ones that you're okay with? Which are the ones that you are not okay with? And why? I really think that this needs to invite a more serious discussion. There is a difference between me saying this is okay based on literal situations where I have been fucked, and then just saying this is okay in every situation or this is not okay in every situation. And above all, one of the things that I think is really important to consider is if there's a company that has genuinely gone above and beyond to screw you, and here's the best thing to do to them in my opinion. It's not to pirate their content, is to stop pirating their content. There was this guy in his early 80s. His name was Sam Fields, and I worked with him at Progressive Music for a while. He worked with Stevie Wonder, all types of amazing talent back in the day. Had a very, very interesting studio career. And the topic of this came up, and he had a like kind of interesting Southern accent. And he would say, like, Lois, you know what I'm gonna be afraid? When people don't even want to pirate my shit anymore. And he had a big smile on his face, like a big smirk afterwards. And like that really stuck with me. It's like, Lois, you know what I'm afraid? When people don't even want to pirate my shit anymore. Because that's how you know you're truly fucked. So for me, if I really want to send a message to a company, what I do, I'm not even pirating your stuff. Because if I pirate it, that means I'm watching it. If I'm watching it, that means I'm giving you attention. If I'm giving you attention, I'm giving you what you want. I may at some point talk about your show or your book or your program with other people that may be more likely to give you money as a result of it. So in these two cases, yes, in this case, I legit did not know that I was getting fucked. They won. They got me. If I knew about this ahead of time, I would have not watched that show. I would have told my girlfriend we're doing something else tonight because I don't want to give Netflix money. I didn't know I was going to get screwed. But what I like to do into the future, anytime this type of stuff happens, or what I suggest you do, the best thing you can do, it's not pirating. Because by pirating, at the end of the day, you are validating that this company has value. Invalidated entirely. I'm not even pirating your stuff. That's how bad it is. I am not even going to take it when it's free. That's how shitty I think you are. The best way to send a message is not to have ad block on. Again, I'm an avid ad blocker. I'm an avid use of, again, what allowed me to watch this show without having to deal with Netflix's bullshit. Speaking as that person, the best way I think you send a message, it's not by pirating it, it's by not acknowledging that it exists. It's not by going to the website with ad block on, it's by never even visiting or mentioning the name of that website. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for allowing me to rant for a half hour and take part in this discussion. Let me know what you think on piracy in the comments down below.